A letter from the Living Room Armchair, PTSD, written by Reuben White. Dear mental health professional, I've been in this corner of the living room for 8 years, a faithful witness to everything unfolding in this space. I'm writing because I'm deeply concerned about James, who bought me from that quaint furniture store in 2016. He was different then, his eyes held quiet confidence as he tested my sturdy frame, declaring I was perfect for his home office. I watch him struggle daily, and I feel compelled to share what I've observed. First, you should know that James is a veteran. When he returned from his last deployment 3 years ago, he brought back more than just his duffel bag. He brought shadows that cling to him, invisible to others but painfully obvious to me. I'm the place he retreats to at 3 a.m. when sleep evades him, when the city sounds outside trigger memories he can't escape. Let me tell you about the patterns I've noticed. They started subtly, like the way he began positioning me so he could always see both the front door and the window. It wasn't just casual furniture rearrangement. I watched him measure the angles with his eyes, calculating escape routes while pretending to work on his laptop. The hypervigilance is exhausting to witness. I can only imagine how exhausting it is to live. The sounds are what trigger him most severely. Last week, a car backfired on our street. In an instant, James was on the floor beside me, his back pressed against my side, breathing so fast I could feel my fabric vibrating. It took him 47 minutes to convince himself he was in his living room and not back there. I wanted to hold him tighter, to tell him he was safe, but I'm just an armchair. All I could do was stay steady and present. He doesn't host friends anymore. My cushions used to welcome various guests, his brother with the booming laugh, his old military buddies who'd come over to watch football games. Now, the only regular visitor is silence. The TV stays off most days because unexpected noises make him jump. Even the neighbor's children playing outside can send him into a state of heightened alertness, his fingers digging into my armrests until his knuckles turn white. The flashbacks are the hardest to witness. They come without warning, triggered by the most innocuous things, the particular thrum of a helicopter overhead, the smell of diesel from the construction site down the street, even the pattern of shadows that the setting sun casts through the blinds. During these episodes, James becomes completely disconnected from the present. His eyes take on a distant look, focused on horrors I can't see but can feel in the way his body tenses against my frame. Sleep is his most elusive enemy. Some nights, he paces the living room for hours, his hand trailing along my back as he passes as if to anchor himself to something solid. Other nights, he collapses into me instead of his bed, wrapped in his old military blanket. The nightmares find him either way. I've learned to anticipate them by the way his breathing changes, becoming shallow and rapid before he jerks awake, sometimes with a shout that he quickly stifles. His coping mechanisms worry me. The drinking started casually, a beer to take the edge off. Now, there's often a collection of empty bottles by morning. He thinks it helps him sleep, but I've noticed it only makes the nightmares more vivid, his reactions more intense. The prescription bottles on the coffee table multiply, but he's inconsistent with taking them. They make me weak, he mutters to no one in particular, and I need to stay strong. The isolation is perhaps the most concerning change. James used to work in construction management. I would watch him review blueprints and make calls, seated confidently in my embrace. Now he works remotely, declining video calls whenever possible, minimizing human interaction. His groceries are delivered. Even his therapy sessions are virtual, and I've noticed he's started canceling those more frequently. The world has become smaller and smaller until it's mostly just these four walls, his thoughts, and me. There are moments of hope, though. Small victories I wish he could see as clearly as I do. Last month, when thunder shook the windows, he managed to use those breathing exercises his therapist taught him instead of reaching for a bottle. Sometimes, he works on his model cars, a hobby from before deployment, and for brief periods, I can feel his body relax into my cushions like it used to. Yesterday, he even opened the curtains wide and let the sunlight in for the first time in weeks. The resilience in him is still there, buried, but not extinguished. I see it in the way he forces himself to get up every morning, even when his body and mind fight against it. It's there in the small acts of self-care, the morning coffee ritual he maintains, the garage projects he sometimes starts, the occasional call he makes to his brother, even if his voice remains guarded while doing so. What concerns me most is his growing acceptance of this reduced life. He's starting to believe this is all there is, that he doesn't deserve more. I want to shake him, if only I had arms, and tell him that the world is still out there, waiting. That the James who confidently chose me from that showroom floor still exists. That healing is possible, even if it's not linear. As his armchair, I'm privy to his most vulnerable moments. I hear the self-talk when he thinks no one is listening. "You're safe now," he whispers to himself, but his body remains tense, unconvinced. "It's over," he repeats, but the past keeps bleeding into his present. I wish he could see himself through my eyes, how strong he is, even on the days he feels weakest, how much potential for joy still lives within him. I'm writing because I need you to understand what I observe day after day. James won't tell you all of this himself. He's become too good at putting on a brave face during his virtual sessions, too practiced at saying he's handling it. But from my perspective, he's not handling it, he's surviving, and barely at that. He needs more support, more tools, more human connection. He needs to believe that his world can expand again. The weight of his trauma is palpable in this room, as real as my wooden frame and stuffed cushions. But I believe, with the right help, he can learn to carry it differently. Maybe not lighter at first, but more manageably. He needs to know that healing doesn't mean forgetting or getting over it, it means learning to live alongside his experiences while reclaiming his right to a full, connected life. I know I'm just a piece of furniture, an inanimate observer of one man's struggle with PTSD. But sometimes I think that's exactly why I see so clearly what others might miss. I'm here for every unfiltered moment, every silent tear, every hard-won victory, no matter how small. I'm writing because I care deeply about James's well-being, and I believe he deserves more than just surviving. Please help him find his way back to himself. Help him remember that there's more to life than hypervigilance and isolation. Help him believe that he deserves peace, connection, and joy. Help him understand that asking for support isn't weakness, it's another form of the courage he's already shown so many times. James is sitting in me as I compose this letter in my mind. His breathing is shallow, his posture tense as always. But he's working on a model car again, for the first time in months. It's a small thing, perhaps, but it feels like a glimmer of the person he used to be, the person he can be again with the right support and understanding. With deep concern and hope. The burgundy armchair in the corner. P.S. He's falling asleep now, the model car parts scattered on the side table. For once, his face looks peaceful. These moments are rare and precious, and they remind me that healing is possible. Please help him find more moments like this one.